So UFC 319 is just wrapped up, and Jesus Christ, yeah, we'll get to that main event. We will get to the main event. Let's just break down the rest of the card. Yeah, goes past the second round. Drickus has got it in the bag. Yeah, fucking Jesus. Yeah, that wasn't the case, was it? Oh, damn. The one time I picked against Hamza. Anyway, let's talk about the rest of the card. We'll get into that towards the end, but first we got to talk about the rest of the card. First fight of the night, we had the tough finale between Joseph Morales and Alibi Idris. Alibi needs an alibi because where the fuck was he in that fight? He did not show up. Gets triangled, gets destroyed by Joseph Morales. Yeah, good performance by Joseph Morales. You know, former UFC fighter. Now he's an Ultimate Fighter winner. Lost to Figueiredo back in the day. Now he's back in the flyweight division. Then we had Karine Silva versus Diana Barboza. Now, I actually thought that Karine Silva won this fight, which she did win this fight, but I actually thought the decision was good. I thought she won the second and third on damage, going for submission attempts. Barboza sort of just laid on top of her, didn't do anything. So I actually don't mind that going to Karine Silva at all, to be honest with you. So Karine Silva gets that fight. Then we had Jakar Close versus Edson Barboza. Now, I actually think there's an argument for Barboza winning this fight. This isn't me coping, by the way, because I picked against Barboza, but I really thought he could have won the third. And I really thought he could have won the first. Third was pretty clear. First was close, but I thought he did the bigger shots. So I thought they really could have given him that round, but they did not. Jakar Close also stopped himself from getting a knockout in the second round, though. That was very odd. We did see that happen. That is a thing that did happen, yes. That is correct. We seen Jakar Close. For some reason, he was badly hurting Edson Barboza, and then he sort of like held him up. So maybe Jakar Close needs some investigating. Maybe he had like a parlay or something on it going for the fight going the distance. Because, yeah, it was very weird. He literally stopped himself from getting a KO. Then we had Alexander Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. Alexander Hernandez just brutally fucking KO'd him. Not even KO'd him. I thought it was a bit of an early stoppage. I thought he would have ended up getting finished, but there was like 4 seconds left in the round. 2 seconds left in the round. I thought they should have just let it keep going. You know, he was eating shots, but he had his guard up. He was just taking shots, but like he was holding his guard up, you know. But they stopped it. He probably would have got KO'd anyway. Chase Hooper didn't look that good on the feet, and he was shooting takedowns from like 20 feet away. He was shooting him from the other side of the octagon, but, still loses. Alexander Hernandez gets it done. Then moving on up, we had Lupita Godinez versus Jessica Andrade. Lupita Godinez clearly wins the first 2 rounds. Third round, very tough. She's eaten a lot of big shots, but she does survive. Then we had Michelle Olachechik versus Gerald Meerschaert. GM3. GM3 got slept very easily. This is the weird thing. This is the card where I picked against guys I normally pick. Like, I always pick these guys, but the one card I pick against them, they get absolutely destroyed. It's just it was such a weird card. Like, I normally always pick Khamzat. I've never picked against Khamzat. I've picked against Michelle, but normally I've never gotten a Michelle Olachechik fight wrong. Like, I picked Holland against him by submission. I picked Michelle Pereira against him. I picked all of these fights correctly, but the one time I pick against... Actually, I might have picked Pereira against him, to be fair. But, I might have picked him against Pereira, actually, just thinking about a stylistic matchup. Yeah, so I normally get Michelle Olachechik fights right. I never normally pick GM3 to win, but the one time I pick him, he gets brutally slept, and no comeback. No third round Meerschaert. Then we had Balasunga Sukaraya versus Eric Nolan. Yeah, very interesting fight. Eric Nolan wins the first round, takes it, big damage, big shots. Looks very good. To be fair, upper weight class, short notice. Now, I'm going to mention Sukarayev cut weight back-to-back this week, plus both short notice fights, so who knows? He probably was very depleted. We've seen how JDM was when he fought Basil Hafez. Round after round, his gas tank did not deplete, actually, but he just looked a lot different, when he fought Basil Hafez with back-to-back weight cuts. So I'm not going to rule off Sukaraev because he got hurt by Eric Nolan. Plus, welterweights are typically more skilled than middleweights anyway. So, Eric Nolan could go on to be something pretty decent in the welterweight division. He was undersized here too, and he still did hurt him. So, that's not the best look for Sukaraev, but I think that Eric Nolan's a very good fighter. He looked pretty good. He's very powerful. Showed that he had the power to hurt a guy up a weight class. So imagine him when he fights at welterweight. They'll probably just book him against Islam Dulatov, give him back-to-back Chechens. Then we had Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Yeah, Tim Elliott somehow gets the submission. He looked like a crackhead in Northbridge. Very Perth reference. Nobody who would get that unless you're from Perth. But he really did fight like a crackhead from Northbridge. But it worked. Came back, got a guillotine choke. Somehow. I don't get it. He was clearly losing, and then it's like Asakura just has no grappling defense. He's from Japan, which is a very good grappling in in Japan. There's very good grappling, but Tatsuro Taira is from Japan, and he's a very good grappler, and Rai Tazura is a good grappler from Japan, but Kai Asakura just very one-dimensional with his striking. And Old Man Elliott manages to get it done. This is crazy because Kai Asakura will now be a winless UFC title contender. That's right. He's never won in the UFC, but he did fight for a belt. Probably not the reputation he wants to have, but it is something he's got going for him, if you want to say that. Maybe not got going for him, but not the greatest thing in the world to have for him. But yeah, good win by Tim Elliott, getting it done at 38 years of age. Who said the sport's evolving? Who said the sport is evolving? They're not evolving that damn quickly. DJ, really good, well-aged win for DJ. Then we had Michael Page versus Jared Cannonier. MVP just sort of too quick, too slick for Jared Cannonier in this fight. Just moving all over the place. Jared Cannonier had a good third round, but just couldn't do anything with his physicality, unfortunately. He really probably could have pushed the grappling a bit earlier, but Michael Page has very good initial takedown defense, but once you get him out, once you get him down, he is just a fish out of water, not gonna lie. He gets taken down, he's stuck there, does take big shots. But yeah, regardless, good performance by Michael Page. Maybe do him versus Paulo Costa next if he's gonna stick around at middleweight, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do next for him, in the middleweight division. He also said that he would fight Carlos Prates, who we'll get to next, in the main event in Rio, which I wouldn't mind seeing either. But yeah, good fight for him. Upper weight class against a former heavyweight. It was a welterweight versus a heavyweight. If you want to look at it that way, just Michael Venom Page showed lighter man skill. Then we had Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal. Carlos Prates, back and forth fight, slugging it out on the feet. Jeff Neal landing a lot of big strikes, but just ends up getting caught with a spinning elbow. Beautiful KO from Carlos Prates on the buzzer as well, Hell of a KO. First person to KO Jeff Neal in the UFC. First person to KO him since Kevin Holland back in the regional scene. So very good feather in the cap of Carlos Prates because, hypothetically, Jeff Neal apparently beats every single person. I've seen people say he beats JDM, beats Kamaru Usman, beats Colby, beats everybody. And according to MMA Twitter, Jeff Neal is the guy who beats everyone. Now, to be fair, he is a tough matchup for, a lot of those grapplers. But, Carlos Prates just beat the fuck out of it. Chins him. To be fair, he didn't beat the fuck out of him. He was you could argue Jeff Neal was doing pretty well. I thought Carlos Prates still won the round before the KO. But the KO obviously solidified that by fucking knocking him out. Then we had Leroy Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Now, this was the heartbreaker of the fucking card, to be honest with you. Because Aaron Pico was winning this fight, the whole fucking fight. Had Leroy Murphy wincing from the body shots, landed big strikes, was taking him down with ease. But just so reckless. It's always been Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico's always winning until he's not. And unfortunately, he wasn't winning when he got caught with a spinning fucking back elbow. Another one. This was bad. This was very bad for Aaron Pico. He was looking so good, man. He was on his way to fucking knocking out Leroy Murphy, I think. But he does get caught, knocked out cold. Good KO from Laurie Murphy. Give him Volk next. Volk said, see in December. Do it. Makes all the sense. 17-0 and 1. Don't forget the draw against Sabora. Give him the title shot. Fuck it. Why not? Why don't we just give him the title shot? Movzar's out. He's injured. Just do Leroy Murphy versus Pico. Let's do it. And then Movzar can fight the winner. Sounds good to me. Then we had Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. Khamzat Chimaev just fucking ragdolled him for 5 rounds. Not remotely competitive. The cardio, there was no issue with cardio because Khamzat just never really had to expend too much energy. He was in control the whole fight. Dricus had no ability to get back to his feet, got crucifixed early, took God knows how many strikes he took this fight. He did land some strikes on Chimaev in points, but like the 5th round, it was his best round. Like Dricus did have his best round in the 5th round. He still lost it, but I really thought we were about to get a Dricus by accident because he like got on top of Chimaev, had the back, and he almost had a rear naked choke in. It looked like he maybe had it in briefly, but he just didn't have his hooks in. So obviously it wasn't full tight. You couldn't fully get it in. But like he was so close in moments in that 5th round. Landed on top of Dricus, landed on top of Khamzat at one point in the fight. And he did land some big shots at the striking, but nothing of, circumstance that hurt Khamzat or anything like that. So Khamzat just really went in there, just ragdolled him with ease. I just don't think there's a middleweight who beats Khamzat Chimaev, to be honest with you. I really don't think there is somebody who beats him at middleweight. He destroys Izzy, destroys Amavov, he destroys Hernandez. He would KO Hernandez on the feet, I reckon. Beats Borrello with ease. Beats RDR. And I said this before the fight. If you can't beat... If Dricus loses to him, nobody's beating Khamzat. And I am even more convinced in that nobody beats Khamzat at all. Nobody off the top of my head. Strickland doesn't beat him. Like, the only way Khamzat's going to lose is if you fight someone who's got takedown defense, good cardio, and maybe just fucking brutal KO power. Because, like, he's just going to keep coming forward. Maybe you need to be a good body hitter or whatever. But yeah, Khamzat's clear champ. Clear number 1. I don't know who beats him. It's gonna take a fucking God tier fighter to beat him. Because if Dricus du Plessis with plot armor can't do it, big physical middleweight, I just don't see who can beat him. Maybe Hernandez with the cardio, but I just think Hernandez will get clipped on the feet early. Like Delinsey, maybe if he's good off his back. Even against Hernandez, Hernandez didn't really like jump right on guard. He was a bit worried of that, but even then, I don't think Delinsey would win. I think he'd get chinned on the feet. So it's like, I don't know who beats him. Khamzat might just rack up 10 title defenses, but he'll probably fight the winner of Borrello Amavov. I know him and Amavov trained together at one point. I think Amavov said he wouldn't fight Khamzat, but, there's a belt on the line, so we'll see. But Khamzat just clearly destroys all of these guys, man. There's just nobody I see giving him any problems, The one time, I've never picked against Khamzat before. This is the one time I believed in the Dricus du Plessis plot armor too much. I was a fool. I was a silly, silly fool. But, it is what it is. Khamzat Chimaev's the champ. I always said he'd be champion. I just thought, Dricus, it was Dricus' time now. But, Khamzat gets the win. By domination, dominates him. And now Khamzat Chimaev is the middleweight champion. Never got the welterweight belt. Says he can still make it. I don't think he should ever try and attempt welterweight because he will just get chinned down there probably. Or he might win the belt, but he could just die from cutting the weight. If he makes it healthy, I do think he'd beat JDM, as much as that pains me to say. Obviously, I'm a big JDM fan. Everyone says I'm biased towards him. Like, I do think JDM would beat Islam, but I don't think he'd beat Khamzat. I don't think Khamzat's too big, too physical. I think he would just ragdoll him all over the place. But, that's neither here, there, or now. Let's hope that fight never has to happen. But, yeah, Khamzat Chimaev, fucking just, let him just run for all these middleweights. He should try and be active. Because I really do think he can just run for everybody if he wants to. Like, he would beat Paulo Costa, like he'd beat Marvin Vettori. Brendan Allen, every single person in the rankings would lose to Khamzat Chimaev right now. But who knows? Maybe there'll be a hero. There'll be a hero that comes out of nowhere and takes down the Chimaev hype train. But I don't know. I'm not trusting it. I'm never picking against Khamzat Chimaev until he gives me a reason to. Until he gets maybe close to getting chinned, or I don't know. There's some Achilles heel that he has. Maybe then I'll pick against him. Maybe if he's like shows up pretty injured or he's like very sick for a fight, maybe I'll pick against him. But I'm just never picking against Khamzat Chimaev. I've picked against him once in one Khamzat fight, and I was a Khamzat fan before all these other fucking guys were. But yeah, let's just talk about Dricus though. The ability to survive was impressive, but that's like pretty much all there was. Like it felt like his game plan was literally just reliant on Hamza gassing out. Like it was like that was all he had. It was like, all right, I'm gonna just wait for him to gas out, and then I'm gonna take him out. Like that was all. That was all he had. And that's not a smart game plan to have. To be honest, you need to have like at least some get ups, some sort of tricks. But he just had nothing, no ability to get back up. I know he said that Hamza's not even like a physical guy. He was so technical, I guess. But it's just crazy. Like he looks like a white belt out there. And to be fair, Dricus never did particularly look that great against Derek Brunson, but like I just felt like the pressure he'd put on some more pressure than that. But Hamza for a very smart fight. Maybe it wasn't the most entertaining Hamza fight. Normally he's a lot more entertaining than that, but he did just maul him. He did just destroy him with ease. And it'll be interesting to see who they give Dricus next. To be honest, who do they give to Dricus now? The loser of a Marvel vs Barello? Like, there's some interesting fights they could do. It's just I don't know. I wasn't expecting the Dricus Duplessis era to end this quickly, but it did end. But it happened. Don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened. But yeah, I don't know. For some weird reason, I just feel like Dricus will be back. I just feel like he will just go on another run. He just has that vibe about him. Like he had so many close moments, but he kept going for stupid guillotines. I get he had to get a finish, but you're on top. You should have just tried to land some ground and pound. At least like get a moral victory. Try and do some damage at the end. You know, like he did almost get a rear naked, but that guillotine was so stupid. Don't throw yourself on bottom, for God's sake, Dricus. Like for fuck's sake, man. I was screaming when he did that. I was screaming like that was the dumbest thing he's ever done. And this is a guy who's taken himself down. You've been laid on top of. You can't get back up the whole fight. Why would you throw yourself on bottom against Khamzat fucking Chimaev, Dricus? Now, I respect you a lot, Dricus. I'm a big fan of Dricus Duplessis. But, like, Jesus Christ, man. Why would you do that? I get trying to get the finish, but, like, good Lord. He had more chance of, like, trying to pound him out, But he did almost get a submission, and I did pick him by submissions. I was a bit happy he did go for that. There was at least an incline to it, I could say, yeah, well, he almost had it. He didn't. But, like, he went for it. He was there. God loves a trier. But, yeah, unfortunate for Dricus. I felt really bad for him, to be fair, because, like, that is a horrible way to lose. Like, I would have preferred if he just lost by submission early, because now he just got dominated for 5 rounds. That's got to be 4 rounds. We'll say he got dominated for 4 rounds. He lost the 5th, but he did, like, have some moments. So I wouldn't say it was pure domination in the 5th, but the rest of the fight, I think it was 50-44. Because all of those rounds, Khamzat dominated, but he didn't dominate in like he's going to get a close finish. He was like close to a finish. Lots of bad ground and pound or anything like that. We didn't see that happen, but he did just maul him. He didn't maul him, he just controlled him the whole fight. And then there was a round where he was mauling him a little bit, throwing some elbows in the crucifix. I've never seen a fighter get crucifix so much and survive. Dricus is tough, man. Like, most people aren't surviving getting crucifixed and fucking beaten around all like that. But Dricus Duplessis, tough bastard. But yeah, man, Khamzat Chimaev, he's the champion. Weirdly, they should just do him versus Izzy. I know Izzy's on a 3-fight losing streak, but please, for God's sake, can we just see that fight for shits and gigs? Just book it next week. Just have Khamzat have a little fucking exhibition fight against Izzy. Like, please, can we do that instead of Strickland versus Izzy? But yeah, I don't know. That was a mauling. He would do this to everybody else. Like Dricus is like a big, strong, physical guy who has somewhat good grappling. Like he's maybe not got the best takedown defense, but he's strong. He's physical. Nobody gets back to his feet if he gets taken down. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's very defensive. Like he showed that didn't get submitted or anything. But like Jesus Christ, man. Crazy back and forth fight. Not really. Not even competitive. Not even close to being back and forth. It was just back and forth. Like, what side of the crucifix does Hamza want to lay on? Landed a lot of not even big strikes. It was just pitter patting his face up. But like, what's the stats for this fight? Let's have a look at the stats real quick. So I am very curious to see how the stats will look for this fight. Can't imagine it's going to be very Okay, so Khamzat Chimaev landed 529 total strikes. That's crazy. Oh, well, Dricus Duplessis got a takedown on Khamzat and he got a submission attempt though, so he's got that going for him. That's a moral victory. He broke Khamzat Chimaev's 100% takedown defense. But like Jesus Christ, 529 total strikes is fucking insane. Like what the fuck? Yeah, that's some insane stats. Yeah, I'm a bit taken aback by that to be honest. But Dricus landed some strikes. But yeah, damn. I'm just thinking about the fight, man. It was like I don't know. It's like what I don't know. It just felt like when you have like a friend who's like a badass, he beats the fuck out of everyone, and then like he finally loses. It's like damn, that fuck, man. We're really gassing you up a bit too much there, buddy? But like, nah, it's like Dricus is one of the greatest middleweights of all time. I'll stand by that. But like, Hamzat's gonna overtake that resume pretty damn quickly. I feel like. But yeah, great performance by Khamzat Chimaev. He is the new UFC middleweight champion. Let me know what you guys thought of the card. Let me know what you thought of Khamzat's performance. Make sure you subscribe, put on notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Khamzat Chimaev, first Chechen UFC champion, first UAE representative champion. Good shit. Probably be on the Abu Dhabi card, if I had to guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Put on notifications. Make sure you subscribe. Shout out to Rick Shaw, the mixed martial artist, the only member of the chat, only member I have, the Beast, mixed martial artist. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.